Moving on, we will be having our next panel discussion, which is named as Exploring Emerging EdTech. And what we will be talking about in this session is leveraging AI and data analytics for personalized learning, the role of AI in enhancing administrative efficiency and decision making, building a hybrid learning infrastructure, and enhancing experiential learning. For this session, can I call upon few of the speakers onto the stage? I would like to introduce first Dr. Archana Mantri, Vice-Chancellor, Anurag University, to please come onto the dais. And next, I would like to call upon Professor Prabhu Agarwal, Director, Bhadruka School of Management, to please come onto the dais. Further, I would like to call upon Dr. M. Janga Reddy, Director, CMR Institute of Technology. And then I would like to call upon Professor R. Prasad, Senior Director, ICFI Group. And I would like to call upon the moderator for the session, Professor Shazil Ahmed, Vice President Digii. He comes with over 15 years of diverse experience in both government and private sectors. He brings a wealth of knowledge in strategic consulting, market research, business analysis, product development, ICT, sales, and people management. He's known for being a hardworking and adaptable leader. He possesses excellent communication, planning, and problem-solving skills. His ability to meet deadlines, drive innovation, and navigates change effectively makes him a valuable asset in any professional setting. Welcome, sir, and thank you for moderating the sessions. Can I request you all to please give 3 mics here onto the stage, please?
Shazil, Ahmed, Vice President of Digii. Right, so I bring a lot from EdTech. My PhD topic, in fact, when Sudhir was saying this is the discussion, I said, yeah, my thesis on PhD is role of impact of higher technology in higher education space. So he said, then aap hi moderate kar lo isko. And I'm very thankful to the task team as well, Shrikant Sinha ji, for bringing together this wonderful panel over here. See, we all know what is happening in the higher education space over here. I think we have a lot of faculties over here, right? See, I mean, this discussion is going to be a lot brainy and a lot rebellious. Brainy because we have 2 exemplary minds over here. Rebellious because you have me on the panel. Just on the lighter note, right? See, because there have been a lot of chalkboards which we use. Those chalkboards are shaking today, right? So the notebooks are busting open today, right? So everything, the knowledge has become so decentralized today in today's age. Students sometimes come up with more better use cases than what we can give them in terms of the in terms of the learning and the overall experience, right? So how is educational technology? What is the landscape of educational technology? How it has been progressing, right? So educational technology has seen a very hard journey in India. So I was part of Project Jnana Sangama for Government of Karnataka, where we started digitizing the universities and colleges in 2015-16. At that time, many faculties from the government space, they said, why are you giving us this technology? You're increasing our workload, right? So the same faculties, you won't believe, one of the vice chancellors called me during the COVID time. He said, what LMS you had built for the government that time, Shazil, today I'm able to use that and run my classes effectively. And post-COVID, it became even more interesting. They said now that the faculties are so used to using this particular technology to get their attainment reports, to get their, learning outcomes of the students, the assessment, the grading, what Dr. Mittal was talking about, right? Now they are not ready to leave it. They're saying now it has become a cost thing for us, right? Now every institution, a quality institution, is adding in their budget that we need to have technology solutions which are integrated, right? So what we will do is we'll go about this in a session to make it interesting for you in a round robin basis. So we'll start with opening remarks from both the speakers, and then I have some interesting questions for you that we can get into, right? So first opening remarks from the Honorable Vice Chancellor of Anurag University. Can we enable the mic?
Thank you so much. Thank you, first of all, IndiGlobal, to making this conference happen and also bringing together all the key stakeholders from education industry, I can say, or education background to this conference. And thank you, Shazil, for that opening remarks. And you have very rightly said that any changes that happen in the education landscape, and that is true for all kinds of landscapes, whether it is education or otherwise, that there is always a human tendency first to pose that inertia to any change that is happening. But we all also know in the deepest of our hearts that change is the only thing that is constant. So though we know this, on one hand, that change is the only thing that is constant, and on the other hand, there has to be an inherent inertia from humans whenever there is a technology that is come in. We also know the only way forward is to adapt that technology, to be well conversant with that technology and use it for the benefit of whatever task is at our hand. So in terms of education, if we are earlier on, we didn't want to use in the ages or in the times when I just embarked my journey as a teacher, the computers came in, and then everybody was hesitant what these computers will do, how we will use these computers for better computations and analysis of the task. But then eventually everybody adapted it, and then everybody found that it is only making good and better the way we can do a task or solve a problem or create a new thing. It is only helping us. Similarly, for the new EdTech scenario, whether it is led or misled, so to say, by AI tools, this is a fact that is right in front of us. So we always say, I always say that in the current times, we are talking of industry 4.0, society 4.0, but in education, we have to talk of education 5.0. So education 5.0, we thought that it is going to come in the next decade, but it has come here right now, knocking at our door. It has already entered into our domains. So the only message, and just to facilitate the further discussion, is that education 5.0 is here. And the only definition that I can give, one word definition to education 5.0, is disruption. And disruption everywhere. So better we embrace it, better we be ready for it. How, when, what, that we are probably going to discuss in the next few minutes. Thank you.
Sir, okay.
Good afternoon to one and all. First, let me say thanks to Sudhir Gautam, given this opportunity to speak in front of you. So here, with this conference, it will be helpful to the higher education as well as personal growth of the faculty members, those are participating here. Here, mainly, rapid changes are coming during the last 5 years, particularly in the education system, because of this pandemic situation during the 2021. So there was a lot of problem was there how to conduct the classwork because of there is no possibility to conduct the classwork. At the time, we conducted the classes through Zooms and other tools used for the teaching purpose. So that means, so after that, AI tools has come to develop. A lot of changes are made to do for the personalized learning methods. So, but with this personalized learning method, it will be helpful to the student. He will learn his own, but there are a lot of problems will arise if because of the student feel that there is no necessity of the teacher, but teacher cannot replace by anyone. Without teacher, nobody can learn. In Telugu, just a word is there, Guru leni vidya, Guddu vidya annaru. So that's why teacher is always required for every student. Without teacher, he can't learn anything. So I believe that whatever tools are coming, but with the helping of the teacher, then only student will succeed in his life. I believe this one. Thank you very much.
Wonderful, right? I think both the learned panelists spoke about one. I think Dr. Archana mentioned about the discovery phase, right? Where we are discovering what is right and what is wrong. And then we have identified that this is the way it is going to be. This is the future. Either you adopt or either you fall behind in the line of people who are adapting it. Sir, I think on the other hand, you mentioned about that the teacher is always required, right? This is one of a very big question. In fact, you won't believe yesterday I had put up a post where I spoke with around 200 plus institutions, faculties on role of AI in future of faculty, right? So one of the faculty interestingly asked the question, will AI replace me? I am very scared for my job. I said, sir, how can AI replace you? So for that, even before I could give an answer, Dr. Koteshwara, who is the Director Academics of Narsi Mundi, he gave an answer. He said, Shazil, tell that faculty, while in the conference, he said, tell that faculty that in in the 18th century when the print technologies came, many people said that now Bible is going to replace the church. right? Because their books are going to be available everywhere. Did that happen? He said, no, boss. There are new churches which have been built every day, right? So what happens is that the temple of knowledge remains to be faculty. AI, I mean, my answer to that question, sir, what I in fact gave, I would love to hear from you on that. I said AI is not something that is replacing faculty. It is actually enhancing what the faculty does. See, we are no longer going to talk about, working together, saying, faculty and AI or faculty and technology. It is a pure convergence. See, we have already recognized that AI bias. So, I mean, we are students who are using AI in order to write their assignments. If the faculty doesn't know how to detect that, right? If the faculty doesn't know how to detect the low latency text, ma'am, I think we want to understand from you on that. Ma'am, how do we make this personalize the learning, right? In the context where we are saying that, one size fits all is what we have been following in India, right? Now, with the technology, can it be more personalized to every individual? Is that even a possibility in a diverse country like India, right? And in the learning, in context of the kind of restrictions which are there, or in kind of provisions which are there from the statutory and accreditation body. So that's over to you, ma'am.
Thank you for that question. It's a very important question and very very important statement that you have made. See, so far as personalized learning is concerned, my strong and staunch opinion is that personalized learning always existed. We didn't call it by names. So take an example of yourself. Think yourself, go back to your class when you were in a class and think that you were sitting next to a person. So while the teacher, while the curriculum, while the syllabus was the same, you always had your own preferential way of learning that particular content or outcome or whatever it is. And similarly, the person sitting next to you, your classmate, had a different way of learning. It always existed, and nobody can take that out. The things that are changing now is that there is more realization, there is more acceptance of that fact that yes, personalized learning exists, and teachers need to think and also be mindful that the 60 students or 80 students or 150 students sitting in the class have their own ways and preferential ways of learning. So that is one. Now coming to this framework and how we can make it better and how we can make this more acceptable to the teachers and to the teaching community and to the education world as a whole, is that, think of this, I'm making a statement and you can all draw your inferences and your own thinking, build your own thinking on that. The way Education 5.0 has come into your way, the only way that we can cater to these disruptions is that we have to take away our thinking from designing of curriculums to designing of experiences. I'll repeat this. As teachers, as educators, we have to make a paradigm shift in our thinking. I will not say instead of, but can we also, while designing our curriculum, change our strategy to make it more designing of experiences? Now, why do I say that? When you make your shift in your thinking from designing of experiences, then you inherently build a framework for each of the students to experience or learn in their own personalized way. Because see, the same Charminar, the same Chaumahalla Palace, the same Golconda Fort, when I go and when you go, our experiences are different because we are different humans, right? So the place may be same, but how we can facilitate the students to experience that curriculum in their own way. That is the catch. That is the creativity of a teacher. That is the creativity of an education administrator. Can we build in that framework? Can we use that curricular framework to design experiences? I'll give you an example. So AI is here to stay. Education technology is here to stay. Online learning is here to stay. What we call as these days, block building of credits is here to stay. When we say block building of credits, meaning a student can take 50% of the credits from the home institution and 50% they can block build from various other universities' online learning material which is available. So I'll give you an example what we did at Anurag University is that in the first year, we have introduced a course called Joy of Engineering. Now the Joy of Engineering is a course which is across the disciplines of engineering, and we are building experiences over there. So the tasks become, which are designed by the teachers, become the central piece for the students to experience. So when the students are going to Joy of Engineering courses, they are just exploring or experiencing. There is no problem solving happening there. Okay? There is no designing happening there. It's only exploration and experience. But the output and outcome is that you are building a framework. You are giving them a framework of personalized learning. Because the tasks, though are designed by the teachers, the way each student in a group experiences or explores is in a different way. So the outcomes so people take different paths to go through, traverse that learning space, but they merge at one place, which is the outcome of that particular task as a learning outcome. So the starting point is same, the end point is same, but the learning paths may be different for each individual. So when I say there is an example of how we can change from, or within that curricular framework, can we make learning experiences? Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. And in all of the journey, so all our 2,400 students in the first year, they are right now, as I'm speaking, in one or the other experiential task, Joy of Engineering, and they are discovering their joy of learning, of engineering, what engineering can be. And the teachers are learning with them. They are experiencing the task with them. And in this way, the teachers are also gaining multiple experiences when they go to different groups of students. So the same task, but different experiences, different exploratory journeys. This is how the education phase has to change. I don't think there can be any other way. You can keep on teaching, you can keep on talking, but only way, and in the inaugural session, Sinha sir said that it is, how adaptive learning, how we can learning to learn. This is what is learning to learn. You are making them learn. You are making them learning to learn, experience, explore in their own way.
Wow. I think that was 200% justice to the question. I wasn't expecting so much of National Education Policy 2020's influence on that. So one of the key, why in fact NEP 2020 came to my mind is because
just sorry. Yeah. And none of the students fails in that course, let me tell you, because experience and exploration can only be graded to what extent you have explored, to what extent you have experienced. But there is definitely an experience, there is definitely an exploration. So nobody gets a 0 marks out there.
I think that's the joy of learning, right? So great. I think, the key word what Madam used when she was talking, when she started, she said that there is a paradigm shift that is needed, right? So that was the word. I mean, that was one of the key words of the National Education Policy 2020. When it came in, it said that this is going to be a paradigm shift in what we are. That is the first time, in fact, I was brought in, I was introduced to this word paradigm. So I went and start researching, okay, what is this paradigm? What is paradigm, right? So, I mean, we had heard, there is this paradigm, that paradigm, but like paradigm shift, what is that, right? So over here, also you spoke about experiential learning quite a lot, right? So National Education Policy 2020 talks quite a lot about 3 different modes in which learning has to be delivered. One is your interdisciplinary approach, your multidisciplinary approach, and also transdisciplinary approach, right? So when we enable programs like Joy of Engineering, right? So where nobody is failing, they're just exploring. I think they will be able to do more in that transdisciplinary space where they can go and explore what is happening. So I'll just share a small anecdote before we hear from Dr. Janga Reddy. So what happened is when I was a registrar in Bharati University, one of the students walked up to me. He said, "Sir, I have, in my village, there is some, traditional practice that if we play certain type of music to these plants, the plants grow in a much better fashion." So I said, I have not heard about that. So I said, why don't you talk to the engineering team and see, in case there is something can be, incorporated over there. So they start working on a project like that. There was a convergence of BSc Honors Agriculture student and BTech Computer Science student, and they came up with an application saying for this kind of plant, this is the kind of music, and this totally non-research based, I'm just saying. This was totally traditional knowledge, but they still came up with that and it started benefiting, right? And they submitted this to ICR. That's still under consideration even today. right? Because traditional knowledge is not easily accepted. The body pain come ho jata hai, but that's still not an accepted procedure, right? Taking a painkiller like a Nicep-MR is easily accepted, right? So that's how it is. I mean, the transdisciplinary approach, what National Education Policy 2020 talks about. But actually, I think it's an excellent example. Would love to learn more about it over the next course of our discussion. Now, I mean, I think we have been talking positive side of things, right? Now, let's see. I think many faculties over here, you would also want to know what are the negative side of things. So I will throw that over to Dr. Janga Reddy. Sir, what are the risks of relying too much on AI recommendation for these learning pathways we are talking about? Over to you.
Yeah, no doubt at all. AI is very useful for each and every student and learner. But there are certain problems also there. Particularly, everybody is aware of that one. AI is purely depending on the algorithmic biases. So all the AI tools are taking the data from the historical data. So if it was biased, then it will become a problem to the student. So therefore, always AI should be a guide, but not a gatekeeper. So that's why algorithmic biased problem, it is a risk for the learner. And second one is narrow learning horizons. So generally, these are the narrow tasks will be provided in the AI. So therefore, student may not get complete information at that particular whatever student want to learn. And third one is lack of human context understanding. Generally, in the AI cannot understand the emotional, social, and motivational things cannot be understood by AI. But for example, if a student may suffering from the fever or any health issues, he may not get good score. So, but teacher can identify why he is lagging in that particular area. So therefore, this is also a risk for the student because of he will be get down his score, but teacher will identify and he will recommend where he is lagging, where is to be fulfilled. And another one is loss of autonomy. Generally, in the AI, always gives the information, but there is no question for the student. So if questioning is not there, he will lose his planning, thinking ability. All these things will be lost by the student. And another one is data privacy and security risks. Here, generally in the AI, lot of data will be stored, and it is lot of personal information will be required for the data. Sometimes if it is breaches, it again become a big problem for everyone. These are the things I observed for the risks will be there if everybody will depending on the AI. Thank you, sir.
Right. I think like Uncle Ben said, with great power comes great responsibility, right? Sir highlighted ki, there are a lot of risks which are involved in using, I think one of the important points which I take back is the human factor, right? So I mean, that's one of the things, right? And these technologies, when we try to implement any technology, when we try to bring in any technology, so this was one of the questions which we recently addressing to a group of institutions who asked this question. Hey, Shazil, just because you at Digii have built an operating system for higher education, should we start using it, right? I think one of the questions, similar question was asked by Abhiram sir. I think he's not here. So he asked. So I said, sir, nahin. Just because we have built a technology, just because the technology is world class doesn't mean that you should start using it, right? It's a cultural shift that is required. The first and foremost is we need to help all the stakeholders understand what are the possibilities in this, right? What are the possibilities? The first possibility, is it going to save my time? Is it going to cut down my cost, right? Is it going to enhance the way I am teaching? Is it going to enhance the way my students' outcomes are coming out? Is it going to improve my, institutional governance? Am I going to become a more data-driven leader, right? So, leader who uses data-driven approach. So, these are the kind of, challenges which come forward. But before we address the challenge, we need to understand what is the outcome which it can give me, right? If I'm going to go and watch Sunrisers Hyderabad cricket match today in the stadium, what is the benefit that I'm going to get, right? If I'm taking my team along with me, what is the benefit I'm going to take? If I go as an individual, I may just see the match, see the score and come back. If I take my team, there is a huge amount of motivational boost that it brings, right? If somebody is from psychology, they'll be able to very well explain that. So on that note, before I ask, I have last two questions to ask to the to the team here. I want everybody to do one small chemistry experiment over here. Is everybody with me? Can everybody see me? Yeah, just raise your hand, everybody, right? So in chemistry, I'm pretty sure everybody is aware about serotonin and cortisol, what they do to you, right? So please look to the person on your left or right and give a big smile. Come on, Anil sir, aap bhi de sakte hain. Now you have a great smile, sir. So what we just did is we released a lot of chemicals there. You know, when we smile, we release a lot of serotonin in the mind. It is a healing element. It brings a lot of happiness. It sometimes removes some, negative thoughts from our mind. Whereas cortisol, it damages our body, it damages our mind, it damages even relationships and everything, right? So thank you so much for that. Ma'am, now I have a fun question for you, right? So if ChatGPT applies for a faculty position in Anurag University, right? What will be the one question you will ask to understand whether it has the human soul?
I already know it doesn't have a human soul, so I'll refrain from that. But I agree with my fellow panelists that it's the human touch that an artificial intelligence will never be able to bring in so genuinely. I mean, yes, there are made up emotions in terms of artificial intelligence. And with the advent of agentic AI, yes, those things are coming up in conversational form. But I am hoping and believing that a perfect human touch will never be there. So we, and also as human species, we claim to be evolving every single day. So even if an agentic AI also, regenerative agent, whatever you can call it, reaches that level, we as humans still have capability to evolve and outsmart that AI. That's for sure. And that's my firm belief. So a human versus a ChatGPT teacher, there is no match. Certainly there is no match. Humans are always going to, even if from a technical or from a knowledge capacity, even if ChatGPT outsmarts, and it will do definitely any teacher, teachers are not there in the classes only for that knowledge. And that's how, as I also said earlier, teachers should evolve themselves in order to become more connected to students with the help of technology. Don't let only the knowledge play the differentiating factor. Because we all know in the heart of our hearts that the machines, because simply of their computational power, the analytics or the processing power that they can do, it is much more than a normal human brain. But what it cannot do is draw those inferences applicable to a context which you can feel and see. Unless you give it in textual or visual format to an artificial intelligence, that the artificial intelligence will be able to take an inference. But immediately I am able to see, that this person or those 60 students sitting in my class, this student may have some problem, as sir is rightly pointing out. Maybe that person is sick or may not be feeling well or may be feeling low on that day while the other student is not. That kind of human differentiation only humans can bring. But the word of caution is that if we are thinking that we are know-it-all kind of people, no, there is definitely an artificial intelligence who can outdo you, but not in terms of your empathy, in terms of your power to analyze a context and applicable to humans. This is what you can do. So from knowledge to wisdom is the journey that we need to traverse very soon now. Wisdom, the artificial intelligence will never be able to build. It can only become more efficient, super efficient, extraordinarily super efficient, but they will never be able to bring in wisdom. But if we are stuck as educators only at building knowledge, and transmitting that knowledge, no, then we are going to be replaced. Somebody asks, and people say this, learned people say this, and when this question was asked, when you say by one of the faculty members, will I be replaced by AI? And the answer is, the humans will never be able to, or the teachers for that matter, will never be replaced by AI, but they will be replaced by people or teachers who can use AI better. So better use AI and use your wisdom to make your students more becoming people who can be more characterful, more dutiful, more empathetic, and having more wisdom. That's what you can do. The differentiation of
Right.
being educator 5.0.
Wonderful. I think in a very short summary, Madam started by saying, no, I don't think ChatGPT can ever have a human soul. And that's a great thing. Sir, I think Prerna has given me a cue that we are nearing the end of time. But before we end, right, so on a very lighter note, I just want to understand from you, will you tell your students openly, hey, you know what, go use ChatGPT, right? Go use any AI tool, right? But I am your master, I will judge how to, grade you. So would you do that openly, sir? That's a question to you, sir. So the question was, will you tell your students to go and use the AI tools, the ChatGPT, etc., openly and say that, you know what, I am still the boss. You may use anything and prepare anything. I'm still the boss, right? I will grade you. Will you tell that openly? Have we reached that stage in the education space today?
Yeah, definitely ChatGPT will be helpful to the student. But if depending on the ChatGPT, he cannot become a creator. Again, he will lose something because of in the company, so many latest things and new things will come. So if he's always depending on the ChatGPT, that program he cannot write. That may not be available in the ChatGPT because of ChatGPT contains data based on the olden data only. So therefore, I cannot recommend to depend fully on the ChatGPT. But certain areas wherever it is lagging, for him it will be helpful to the student. I believe that.
Perfect. Thank you so much, sir. I think what sir was trying to say that, we are still at the tip of the iceberg, right? We are not there yet, but yes, it can help the students, but in specific directions. So on that note, I would like to close this panel discussion, right? Also just want to close this on a small couplet from, by one of the famous poets. He says that, ख्वाबों की उड़ान अभी बाकी है, जिंदगी के इम्तिहान अभी बाकी हैं, अभी मापी है बस मुट्ठी भर जमीन, पूरा आसमान अभी बाकी है ना? So we have the whole sky which is there for us, right? That sky is the technology. Technology has always been there. It is going to improve what we are doing. It is going to enhance the way we wear our clothes. It is enhance the way we are going to use our phones. It is going to enhance the way we see from our eyes, right? So let us encourage this love for technology. And I want to thank Dr. Janga Reddy and Dr. Archana for their valuable and amazing insights. I'm pretty sure Sudhir is going to bring out a beautiful case study from this discussion, because those knowledge, what they have shared today, is going to have a great impact and going to be a reference material for many faculties out there. Thank you very much for your valuable time. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, panelists, for such an insightful discussion that emphasized the vital role of faculty in education. It was enlightening to explore how AI serves as a powerful enabler rather than a replacement for educators, and how evolving learning models are empowering both teachers and students in today's education system. Thank you so much for such a wonderful discussion, guys. I think we're going to move for lunch after this. Let's show some energy. I would like it to be given to Dr. Archana Mantri, Vice-Chancellor, Anurag University. And then I would like to call upon Dr. M. Janga Reddy, Director, CMR Institute of Technology. Can we hear some applauses, please? And the wonderful moderator for this panel discussion, Professor Shazil Ahmed, Vice President, Digii. A huge round of applause for moderating the session so well.
IndiGlobal Media Network, taking innovation, collaboration and growth to the forefront.